and then I concentrate pretty much on one guy.
Oh, wow.
So there's probably over 100 guys I have, but there's 75 that I can present in that class. And we just drill down and find out about this guy, transcriptions, recordings, videos.
That's great, man.
Then there's all URLs to them so that they, on their own, they can go and drill down on somebody that they like.
That's great. Sounds like, I want to go to school there now and take your classes.
Yeah, it's weird
So,
because I just read something by a guy, by a drummer that I really appreciate his playing, and he was talking about that jazz was dead and all this other stuff, and forget about all those Berkeley cats and all this. I was like, whoa, thanks a lot, man. It's somebody that doesn't really know the people, or maybe he does, but it's not me that he knows because I'm not like what he's portraying in that
mhm.
little one sentence burying of what's going on.
Sure.
So perception is, as you know, has a
Yeah,
lot to do with not only about how you feel, but how you feel about the world around you. So, yeah.
I'm so fascinated by this, and literally, without exaggeration, every day, if it's for 5 minutes or an hour or all day, sometimes, I mean, I am looking and researching and reading and trying to learn more about the brain. I tend to overcomplicate things quite often. It's easy for me to do.
I think it's
Um,
the way for everybody.
but I like to understand the science behind things. It's interesting to me how things work. I like to know how things work. How does the brain work? Well, there's so much we probably will never know, but what we know now is interesting, and it's so deep. There's so much to it. And by the way, we're Facebook Live, and happy St. Patrick's Day, Skip. How you doing?
I'm Scottish, so I go to that. That's as close as I can get.
I have Irish in me. I don't know my genetic makeup here, but it's probably at least a third my
Wow.
grandmother
You're a
on my mother's
candidate for
side.
Ancestry.com.
Yeah, yes, I should do that. My sister's done it. My mom's done it. It's pretty interesting. John Manziker was with us. He is a friend of mine here in Syracuse, and John's a
Oh,
fantastic person, a great drummer,
oh, great.
really, really great drummer. And John, man, I was thinking of you the other day because I went over to Cedar Vale Maple Syrup with Tammy, and I went over and had a waffle breakfast in our car because you can't go in there. But I was thinking of you. I wonder if you're still tapping the maple trees out there and doing the syrup thing. And I want to buy some of your syrup. So I'm up by
Wow.
SU a couple times a week. Tell me, let's message. But I'll tell you the other thing too. I'm off topic here, but I don't eat like that very often. And so I had the waffle, two beautiful waffles. They're not frozen and then toasted. These are like beautiful, and the syrup. And I'll tell you, we both crashed so hard after that from the sugar and carb. I mean, I was wiped out for a couple hours early afternoon Sunday,
Mm,
but it was
yeah,
worth it.
yeah.
So yeah, St. Patrick's Day, and I've got my green shirt I got in Ireland when I was 8 days in Ireland a couple of years ago for
Well, I should run
Parkinson's
and
and
change
whatnot.
my shirt, my jacket, because I got the orange thing happening. I won't be winning any friends with that.
Yeah, that's okay. It's all right. Well, we were talking beforehand. I'll just mention this, and then be kind of cool to pick your brain about your perspective on certain people. I go through phases of watching different musicians and drummers, listening to, it's not always drummers. I mean, it's a lot of people, but Buddy Rich lately, he was my first big influence. 1966, I think it was, Big Swing Face album, and the other one recorded the same night live at whatever West Side Story was on. My dad came home with those like the day they hit the store.
Hmm.
I didn't understand what I was listening to, but I knew it sounded pretty interesting. And he was really good at driving the band. And, my dad was a drummer. He's way more musician than I ever will be, but he, played piano very well. He arranged, he composed, he led big bands. So I was around this from when I was in the womb, band rehearsals and
wow.
the occasional gig here and there as a kid. A lot of gigs as I became a teenager and started playing with my dad's band. But I went to see Buddy when I was 9. Dad took me, and I won't mention anything that could be negative, but I will say that 2 things. I was completely blown away that night at 9. I didn't know what I was really seeing. But also we got to meet him afterwards. I've met him on several occasions. Every single time he was very gracious, very polite, very appreciative. Just he also had really big hands. I remember the last time I saw him in the mid 80s, just before about 6 months before he passed away, I saw him here, got to meet him because my friend who ran the show let me back, shaking his hand. His hand dwarfed my hand.
Wow.
But man, that guy was a one of a kind for sure. One of a kind player.
Yeah, I have to agree with you. I think he was like one of those force in nature kind of guys. I mean, just as a little kid, like a toddler, he was already performing and doing stuff, and somehow genetically or predisposed or whatever, he knew what timing was. If you see those videos that, what was it, that DCI did, the Buddy Rich, there's 2 of them, 2 VHS tapes of history of his life. And yeah, I mean, it was like he never practiced, he just played.
Yeah, it's like, I know. I kind of, just those one-off kind of every once in a while, there's a one-off DNA freak of nature, I say respectfully, that just they're wired up to be able to do something extraordinary, and that was his thing. And I've also been looking, and I'd be curious to pick your brain about this. We've talked about it before somewhat, but in fact, you are the catalyst for me to begin this thought process again, because you've been affiliated with Berkeley for a long time. You teach so many different things there in history of drums and things like that. It has become very interesting to me because I think this whole idea of a drum set, even though it's relatively new compared to the length of time humans have been on Earth. I mean, what is 100 something years? But the way it's
140 now.
140?
Yeah, something like that.
And then you mentioned a while back, and my memory doesn't seem to recall exactly who it was, if it was Baby Dodds or Davy Tuff or whoever, but at some point in time, the drummer on the drum set took the main thing, like what would be a ride cymbal now, took the hi-hat and then transferred to the ride cymbal, and the ride cymbal became like a thing. Who was that? Who gets the credit for that?
I can't remember his name. It was a guy in Chicago, but that was in the 20s.
Okay.
And it's in the Theodore Brown History of Jazz Drumming thesis.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's 2 books that were available through the University of Michigan, I think. They're the Bible for everybody doing jazz drum history. And it only goes up to like 1940 or 42, but covers a lot of that. But it started back with guys moving from, playing marching band in the street on just snare drums to like actually coming inside.
Mm-hmm.
And so where it used to be snare drum, bass drum, and the bass drum had a cymbal on it. So there was like 3 sounds, 2 guys, sometimes 3 guys, 1 guy playing cymbals, bass drum, and snare. When that went inside, it ended up being only 1 guy. And so you had to figure out how you were going to make those sounds. But the ride thing was just like roll starting on the end of each beat. Brrdet, brrdet, brrdet.
Okay.
So it was buzz tap, buzz tap, buzz tap, buzz tap, that kind of thing. And then it ended up being the ride rhythm 30 years later.
It's incredible. You know, when I was a kid, so back in the 60s, Zildjian was the main, cymbal company. If you were on a low budget, you could maybe go to Zilco, find a Zilco cymbal somewhere. I think they were in the family, right? But different company.
No, I don't know.
Yeah, Zilco. I have some Zilco cymbals here. Yeah, they're really
You were like,
kind of
weren't they the
trashy.
same thing but second line?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot less
Not
money.
second line music, second line cymbals.
Right. Yeah, it's like the B line.
Right.
You got the A, the highest standard, the gold standard, then you got the next level, which of course now probably falls way down. There's so many different cymbal companies out there making beautiful cymbals.
Yeah, and that had to do with the content of the percentage of what was making the cymbals up.
Yeah. Yeah, another of my favorite cymbals was it broke. In fact, it kept breaking, and then it finally just fell off the stand one night when it split in two pieces after a couple notches went out of it. It was a 20-inch Wuhan China cymbal. It had the coolest China cymbal sound. I bought it from a store here that our mutual friend John Manziker me, Buki Babiki, and that's what they call him. Book owns a store for decades here. $50 lasted me a few years, and then it fell off the stand.
Yeah,
It was a beautiful China cymbal. So.
Well, all those flaws that happened in cheaper cymbals, there would be little bubbles or fractures that were in the cymbal would eventually just give up because they'd be like flaws in it, and then it would eventually fall apart. And that was the complaint with the Turkish case too.
Oh, really? Okay, yeah, I didn't know that.
Not the Zildjian ones, but the ones that came from Turkey.
Mm-hmm. Just the other day, a friend of mine, oh man, I feel really bad. I'm so bad lately with name Michael Mallow. I knew it was Mallow. I was trying to think of his first name. Mike, if you see this, I'm so sorry, man. I'm still not quite there yet cognitively. Although I did get the PS100, by the way, and I'm sure the PS100 supplement, by the way, I got it because of you. Good. I actually think that's helped quite a lot.
Well, even if your perception is that's helping, that makes it so.
Even if it's like, not helping,
yes,
I think it is. So it is.
You remember Dumbo, right? The Disney movie?
Yeah.
And his little friend, the mouse, gives him a feather and tells him he can fly.
Yeah, right.
It's magic feather.
Oh, I've got a perception story for you. I'll tell you in a minute.
Sorry.
Really, really interesting. Oh no, we're improvising in conversation. But Michael just got the new released 2 days ago, I believe, officially, Dave Weckl Sabian 21-inch flat ride. Which is, I like the flat ride sound, generally speaking. I had one and I foolishly sold it to somebody. But, I'll just get another one someday when I'm ready. Unique, kind of Roy Haynes-ish sound,
Right. Well, that was the initial recording of them was with Roy playing one.
Yeah, when did he start with that? I mean, it had to be before the Matrix album with Chick.
No, that was it.
That was it?
Yeah. And it was an 18-inch 602 Paiste. I have one here.
Whoa.
From 68. And I had mine on a stand next to that cymbal that Chick got. Because Roy gave Chick that cymbal. And then that cymbal was used by Airto when the Brazilian acoustics thing went out with Flora and Stanley Clarke. And that's when I tried that. When they went home, I tried my cymbal next to that.
Oh, wow. That's
I think
really
the Um
cool.
Ramao was there for some reason too, and we checked it out. But that was even higher than mine. And they moved, they phased. They were very thin, so they moved when you played them.
Mine did too. I had to learn how to control it and which stick was the best and which bead was which best, because too heavy of a stick or bead or too heavy of a touch.
Right,
Put it
because
out of control for me.
the tip of it, the bead being big, was too much contact with the cymbal. So like the ST2 Boleros or those F1s like the Peter Erskine plays, the fusion ones, those focused all those overtones. It puts it really to a fine point because you're hitting it with something small.
Yeah, I love that. Peter Erskine had, I don't know if he still does, with Vic Firth drumstick manufacturer. He had the one stick, but the other stick was tiny little bead.
Yeah.
And I loved that for the flat ride and for some of the low volume gigs that I had to do.
Yeah.
You know, these like dinner clubs.
Well, you have to compensate your touch with that too.
Totally. Yeah, it's amazing how much a stick, a cymbal, a drum head, the tuning of a drum, all of them can make you play different.
I have a story if you want me to dig into it about developing that.
Please. Yes.
So I was working this gig. It was kind of a mafia place. We played in the corner. It was all stone, kind of like the background in my office at school. People see me going, "What are you doing outside?" Well, this club was like that. And it was a trio with a piano player that sang, a bass player. And those two guys had worked together for years. And for some reason, they needed a drummer, or they wanted a drummer. So I was a late add to this. And he sang, and it was almost all Frank Sinatra tunes, right? Mm-hmm. And played piano. And like I was just along for the ride because these guys had played together so much. No matter what I did, they just did whatever they wanted. But anyway, I was working like 6 nights a week, which was great. This has got to be mid-60s. And
Cleveland?
Yeah, on Route 8 over by the racetrack. I forget the name. It was kind of like a mafia kind of place. Very crowded, very noisy all the time.
I love those kind of places.
And so I was in the corner, so with them playing acoustic bass, I don't think the bass player had any amp. I'm for sure the piano player didn't, but he had a vocal mic. So I had to play really quiet. So most part of it was a lot of brushes. And so that was my experience learning brushes. I got the gig and they said, "You have brushes, don't you?" And I was like, "Oh, yeah," which I did have. But I had to learn how to play it to keep this gig. Mm-hmm. And then it went till I would be able to play sticks later on in the night. So getting back to the original premise for this developing touch was I could play my cymbals, and I tried different sticks and finally got it down with working on my touch that I could play with a marching band stick. They were bright yellow with these huge beads on it. I forget the name of them. Somewhere they're probably still around. But I could play tempos with that stick quietly.
Oh, yeah.
And it forced me to being able to play ding, chicka-ding, 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 chicka-ding at a whisper, even with that big stick in a small place and not blow people away. And I know that it's not only possible for me because I had a presentation, Ignacio Burrow is an old friend of mine, and he came to school and played it with a student ensemble in my office one day. And you could sit next to the drums, and he was playing like a kind of bebop tune with these young players. And you could sit next to him and talk, and he would be playing that tempo thing right there live. So, I mean, it's like, how do you do that? How can you have that kind of stroke? And the connection for me is listen to Keith Jarrett play piano and hear how he can play the softest note, and it's a full note with all the roundness and body that you want. But it's almost inaudible. So it's not just piano or drums.
Being able, it's interesting. Like in the movement world where I'm working with people to rehabilitate movement and other things. And typical for all humans pretty much is it's easier to do some things faster and louder than it is to go quieter and slower. And that applies, of course, in drumming. I remember trying to impress somebody, a long time ago, probably a girl, and play really fast. And a comment came that said, great, but can you play it slow and soft, or fast and soft, or slow at all? Ooh, that's a good question.
Yeah,
No,
but
I can't. I had to work on that one. Yeah.
But that, for the most part, maybe the reason that young people like somebody that has a lot of chops and it's very flashy is that energy that they're perceiving from that person is all about what matches where they're coming from.
Mm-hmm.
So the big thing with anybody that's learning how to play something is it all seems like it has to be big and hard in order to work. That goes for like not only drumming, but learning to drive a car or fly an airplane.
Sure.
And you don't fly an airplane by doing that kind of thing at all. It's like using your fingertips and just the littlest motion, and the plane's like, what happened? Same thing with driving.
Yes. So two quick stories. I have an exception to the driving thing, and that was the 1978 Chrysler New Yorker I had, which is like driving a house on wheels.
Yes.
With a 454, 455 engine. You couldn't even drive by a gas station because it needed gas all the time.
Right.
But
was before
the steering
credit cards.
was so loose, even when it was aligned up and all that, the steering was so loose, you had to do this to go straight. But normally, not like in my car and all the newer cars, even the past 20, 30 years, I mean, you just a little bit. I was with a friend of mine. His name is Stu, great guitar player. He's also a pilot. His job for decades was being a pilot, a private pilot for various companies. One day, about 20 years ago, he called me up and said, hey, meet me up at the airport at such and such a road and hangar, and just let's come with me to Philadelphia. We'll be back in less than 2 hours. I got to take off, drive an executive or two down, or fly them down, drop them off. We'll come back, just you and me. So I go over, I get in the plane. We go down, they get off the plane. We're there for maybe 20 minutes, take off again. So I'm in the co-pilot seat now. And when we're, somewhere over like Scranton, Pennsylvania or wherever, we're at however much altitude, moving right along in this turboprop, which is pretty much the next closest thing to a jet without being a jet. He says, okay, why don't you try to keep the plane on the horizon and try not to change the altitude. Skip, I think, honestly, I don't even think I moved. And I was already doing this and turned just a tiny bit, and I was banking a curve. It was amazing. And that's how I guess the fighter jets are too. I mean, there's so microscopic movement can really, it can change everything in those cases. Pretty interesting. And it was a lot of fun to do that.
Yeah, I learned about that before learning how to fly by sailing. How much input changes things. Because if you're in a little small boat, like a little cat or something like the kids learn to sail in, all you got to do is think one way and the thing like zips around. Or how influenced by the wind changes it is. Or if you're in a larger boat, something 30, 40 feet,
sure,
10, 12 meters or something, it takes so long for anything to happen. It's that same kind of thing.
Do you fly? You a pilot?
I'm a pilot, but I haven't flown for a long time. I used to fly from Cleveland, actually from Indiana, where I kept my plane, to up here in Boston.
Oh, wow.
When I first got the gig up here.
That's so cool. Yeah, my wife was a pilot for many years, just not for a job, but we used to go up in a little Cessna 152 two-seater, or the 72, I guess, is a four-seater. And you're really one with the turbulence in those things. It's a really cool way to fly. I enjoyed that. She's good too. It was really neat. I'm just checking to see who's on with us. If anyone has any questions, by the way, just type them in the comments under the broadcast here on Facebook. So Skip, what's going on now at Berkeley? Where are you at in the semester? You started up Was it
It's
January?
midterms this week. Yeah, it was
Okay.
midterm. So this was the 8th week. It goes for me, till May 3rd.
Okay.
And then it starts again the end of May and goes through August 13th or so, and then starts the day after Labor Day again.
Okay.
And this
All
would
right.
be like, let's see, this is my 116th semester.
Oh, wow. That's great.
But who's counting?
Exactly. That's cool. So what's the student population there approximately?
Geez, I have no idea, because they haven't even been talking about that.
Mm-hmm.
I would imagine it's quite a bit down, because in order for us to teach, we can only do face-to-face a half hour. If the lesson's an hour, we do a half hour in one room, and then we move to another room with that same student. So when I'm in on Thursdays, I see one other guy in my department on my floor, because of the air circulation thing, because I'm in the basement. The drums are in the basement. Also in the basement of another building, 4th floor of the same building as me, but they're quite a bit smaller, those rooms upstairs. Mine, I can cram 40 people into mine.
Okay. So because of the COVID pandemic, all the things going on in the is there a circulation issue there where they're worried about?
Well, not anymore, but just in general, yeah.
Yeah.
There's a big article on the front page of the New York Times today about the air, and really graphic descriptions with colors and everything about what's happening. They're talking about for public school, open the windows. Well, that's not possible where we are. I'm 18 feet down.
Yeah, sure. Or when it's 11 degrees like it was 2 days ago here.
Yeah, don't open it too far. Yeah.
Yeah.
So at one point, there were 750 drummers in the program.
Oh, wow.
But when I started, I think there was only like 300 maybe.
Okay.
That would have been 82. So I don't really, in all honesty, know the numbers for right now. But I think everybody's like wondering what's going on. So with the population. But last summer, it was really busy. I mean, everybody decided that their kid needed to be kept busy playing drums. So it was a lot of online stuff. And I would imagine that'll be the case this summer.
Yeah, I think it's going to move forward like that too. Even after everything is, let's say, normal, as close to normal as it can be, we've discovered that we can do things now virtually that we probably wouldn't have done before as much. Or for some people like me, I would do interviews virtually, but I wouldn't be training anybody. But now I do. I was forced into it. I thought about it for years. A year ago this week, I started because, well, it's that or don't work.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of people that are trying to teach because they can't do anything else. They can't play. All these people, I don't care how big your name is, there's nobody doing anything. So you see a lot of people making the transition to, for better or worse for people. Some people don't like teaching, and other people have found that they're actually good at it. But it becomes a learning curve for trying to present what you know to be cohesive and make some sense to other people online.
Yeah, it's interesting because I say this loosely because I'm not exactly sure that where Dennis Chambers is at with this, but I know that he's teaching now a little bit online.
Yeah, he's doing one this Saturday.
I'm not sure. I've kind of the past couple of weeks I've been working on getting my second book finished, so I've really just dropped out of following many people, and between that and some other stuff going on, and just getting back to a schedule where I can see people in person. I haven't followed anything, but I know he's doing some kind of teaching. I'd have to check that out because I'm off Saturday most of the day. I'd like to check that out. But he's teaching, and I don't think he's known for teaching. I could be wrong, but Dennis teaching. I know Dave Weckel's been doing online lessons for quite a while, but he's doing a lot more of them now. Tom Breckline, Peter Erskine, because he's got the university gig, USC, but he's also doing privates. A lot of people. Yeah. Yeah, I
Yeah,
think.
he's part of a community. Was it Artist Share or something where they?
Yeah. Yeah, right. And then Dennis, I think, is, I don't know if it's the same entity, but he's a part of something. There are a few of them I've seen out there now where they got, actually some pretty big names teaching. It's pretty interesting.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, you're kind of forced into trying to figure out how you're going to get by. I mean, unless you're got something else happening, like it's a year of like, oh my,
Yeah, you're not kidding, man.
Yeah, but the for people like myself that have been teaching since, I don't know, 64 or something, in some form, to this year, to moving everything from being live and presenting things and reacting and answering questions with actual content, or sit down and play what you needed to explain or demonstrate, to having it be online is another story entirely. So the learning curve all has to do with the technology and what you can do to present stuff in a cohesive, intelligent manner, as opposed to spending time with, oh, wait a minute, oh, I forgot I muted myself, and oh no, now I can't find that. And working multiple screens, you can see that with this kind of stuff here. Other guys are working with screens bigger than one down in my living room, and multiples. So, I mean, it ends up being like Weckel's thing is, I can't imagine, on Erskine as well. And Sergio also, a lot of money involved in what they're using to teach with, 4 or 6 cameras overhead, stuff that moves on rails. I mean, it's like a TV studio.
Yeah, it's interesting. Actually, Peter's going to be on live from my drum room with John DeChristopher this Saturday. I think it's at 2 p.m. Eastern, but I'm not exactly positive. Yeah. And he was showing me on Breckline, and I didn't have Dave on to show us we can see that on his drum hangs.
Right, yeah.
But he actually sent me this really long email the other day about a few different things. Chick's passing was one of them. But also the move, because he just moved from LA to St. Louis, back to his hometown.
Right.
And getting this place set up. And I think he's Dave's, it's funny, when I was at Dave's house 2 years ago in LA, went in the studio out back and we're goofing around with stuff. And then I had this new camera that I couldn't figure out how to use it. He just said, oh, let me see that. He taught me how to use my camera. He's real good with the techie stuff. Yeah. Real good.
Yeah.
So here's the f-stop here and this and that and the oh, cool.
Right.
I don't know anything about it. So, I was thinking the other day, I went back and I listened to that recording with you playing with Dewey Redman. I really love that thing. And who's the gentleman? I think he's on that. Last name might start with an M. M-O.
Oh, you mean the guitar player?
So I'm just so not remembering names.
It's Michael Bocian.
That's it. Yeah. That's him.
And that's Polish for stork. Bocian is stork.
Actually, somehow we're connected on Facebook now too. Which I was pleased to see with Michael.
He's been watching these.
Oh, great. Well,
Michael might be out there.
If you see this, man, I love your work, Michael. If you see this, just know that I really appreciate you and your music, and I need to get more of it. I need to find it and buy it.
Yeah,
I have to do a search.
It was a small label. It was a German label. I'm spacing out. ENJA was the record label.
Oh, they put out some great stuff, like Elvin and Stone Alliance, I think, and
right,
a lot of people.
And it was on that. It was under Michael's name, but it was with Dewey and Cameron Brown and myself. And I've known Michael since he was a teenager. I mean, we used to go play in his brother's living room, and hang a mic from the chandelier kind of thing.
That's cool.
So when people say, how did you put those tunes together? Because if you listen to that recording, it was a very good day for me. And we did it at Sound on Sound with Michael McDonald, the really great guy in New York.
Yeah.
And I was right there. It was Train's birthday. It was a big celebration of music to honor him and to do that. And I love playing with Dewey, and he was really helpful to me. And I had played with him before that recording, but I also played with Michael, so I knew all the tunes. So, and I knew how to listen and work with Dewey. So I had a great time. And that recording kind of reflects that if you listen to it, whether you like it or not. I mean, if you listen to how it's hooked up, how the people and phrasing and what's going on with it, I was really pleased with it. That
recording is 100% right up my alley. I mean, that's the stuff I really dig so much. By the way, Terry Cote is with us.
Oh, yeah.
How you doing?
You know who that is, right?
I sure do. Mm-hmm. Oh, what's funny is, so she and I were messaging at one point before I had Sergio on the program the first time. And then I think she told me Sergio's my husband. I was like, great, cool. And then he sent me a note. Terry, I hope he was okay. I mean, we were just talking, that's it. And about drum stuff, right? Just drum stuff. And then he gets, like one night, he says, I understand you've been messaging with my wife.
Well, that's wonderful.
She told me, but I didn't know. I had no idea that they were connected until she told me. It was really funny, but I tell you, I am itching to get out of here. I have to go away from this place, and I love where I live, and I love my community, and I love being home, but I need to come to the Massachusetts. I need to come to the Boston area, hang out with you, Skip, Terry, Sergio. I want to find John Christopher, hunt him down and hang out, and whoever else. My best friend lives up in Manchester, New Hampshire. He'll come down. I'll probably go and stay with him, and then we'll come down. But this summer, man, I am Boston bound. No matter what, I'll be vaccinated. I'll wear my damn mask. Gotta hang out. I gotta get out of here.
It sounds like a threat and a promise. Okay.
Yeah, it is. Yes, Terry. She says, you do. I do so much need to, I need to meet people like you, and I have met you now and virtually, and people who make me think, music that makes me feel. I need these connections and these things as much as I need oxygen. This is my oxygen. Fresh perspective. Gary Kennedy's with us. Hi, Gary.
Yeah.
Do you know
Nova Scotia?
Oh, Nova Scotia?
That's where he's from.
Gary, I'd love to come there someday. I've never been to Nova Scotia.
Oh, it's beautiful there.
That's what I've heard. My wife and I talking about, maybe we'll come out and hang out too with her, and going up the coast and up into Maine, because I've only been as far more north as Booth Bay to teach a couple of years ago, and it was like a postcard perfect little scenic village. I want to go further north. I want to go up to the what's the park up there that's so big?
Cabot. It's the trail.
Some kind of park. If you say the name, I'll know.
It's the Cabot Trail. It runs. It might be. Gary will send you the information because he's up there.
Maybe
but he's not up that far. Yeah, I think he's from Halifax, which is in the kind of lower middle.
Interesting. Yeah. So every time, and I'm sure for you too, we fly out of New York City, you're going to Europe. We always fly up right over Nova Scotia. It's like this. Thing, and we're over Greenland, Iceland, and then back down into wherever in Europe. Yeah, well, a straight line on a globe is an arc. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It is interesting. You consider all the rotation and the tilt and everything like that. Do you know Bill Platt? Yeah. Hey, Bill. Bill's watching. Yeah. Well, welcome aboard. Gary, John Manziker, Bill Platt. We're talking all things drumming and other stuff too. Perspective. Perspective is really interesting. When you mentioned, I have to go back and tell you my story because I like this story. It's very short and pretty cool. So, you know, this PS 100 that I'm taking now for cognition. Oh, David Cassidy. So Terry says she played Nova Scotia once with David Cassidy. Cool.
Yeah, yeah.
So this stuff, you know, I've been having some, not complaining. I'm very lucky. I'm very healthy. Everything is good, but memory issues, especially short term and names. PS 100, which you told me about, Skip. I got it, taken it for maybe 10 days, 2 weeks, something like that. So I think it's actually helping.
Yeah, it takes a long time for me to realize it was working, but yeah, you have to just keep doing
So
it.
even if it's not helping, and I think it is, then maybe it is by the virtue of me thinking that it is. So
Yes,
that's perspective, right?
the
Well,
power
here's
of
a story
positive
for you.
thinking.
My son is an emergency room physician in the busiest trauma center in the country, in Emory and Atlanta. So, anyways, I hear a lot of emergency stories. Is it only for men? Oh no, that's not only for men, is it? PS 100. That's
No,
yeah. No, that's it's for the brain. It's for
it's
memory
not
too.
testosterone or anything like that.
Yeah, this is a like just to sharpen cognitive, you know, skills, memory. So, anyways, a man is working on a construction site. He steps on a nail that goes through his boot. He feels it going through his foot and up through the bottom, through the foot, and through the top of the boot. Okay, so this man stepped on this nail, big nail, comes right up through. He feels it going through his foot. He's in excruciating pain. So they leave the nail in the boot because, you know, what if you pull it out and maybe it cause damage or you bleed out or something like that? Well, gets to the hospital. They remove the nail. They remove the boot to find it did not go through the foot. It went between two toes and it just barely nicked the skin between the toes. So there's a perspective thing, the perspective of he felt it as if it was going through his foot. He was sure that it went through his foot, yet it didn't go through his foot, but he felt the pain as if it did. And, you know, the brain is just, the mind is so powerful. It can be, anyways. So thankfully, he's fine and he didn't even need a band-aid.
Wow, yeah.
But, you know, those stories, I find it interesting. So, like, what else in my life am I thinking of a certain way that's actually not even the way I think it is? Who knows? It's a constant journey, searching for that kind of stuff, or being open. Let's say being open.
Yes, it's like it's all an illusion.
Mm-hmm.
Some Eastern
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah. You got to wonder sometimes, right? Uh, I was going to ask you, and anyone, actually, anyone who's watching, Bill, Gary, Terry, John, Skip, are there any players, whether they're new, let's say newer on the scene or newer that available with recordings we can hear, drums or not, anyone who's just really just catching your attention lately? It's like, oh man, maybe you're revisiting something old, maybe it's somebody brand new.
Well, I hear a lot of stuff from my students or people that I had connections with through school. So every week I hear something that's really, really impressive to me. Raphael Paneer did a thing that came out in November that it's really, really nice with Miguel Zanon. And of course, um, um, there's all of the stuff from old guys, Jason Bittner and all those kind of guys that are not new but are doing stuff now online.
Mm-hmm.
And Henry Cole, who also plays Miguel Zanon. His Zildjian stuff just came up. Zildjian put it up. He did that like last year around this time because I drove him down there to do it. I'm like, not in the shop, but I'm like right on the other side of the drums with my camera taking pictures of his hands and stuff so you can see stuff. So, you know, it was so you could check out what was going on from a different perspective that wasn't about cymbals. It was about how he gets that sound. Like I was talking about the thing with the stick playing very soft with the big stick.
Yeah.
Well, I got one shot of his hand and from the under lower side. That was really neat. But um, there are just so many great guys all the time. Marcin Yar in Poland is off the hook.
Wow.
Jacek Peltz has a new recording. He's also from Bydgoszcz is in Poland, and it's the city of great drummers. I mean, it's like the Detroit of Poland. And Fernando Martinez from Buenos Aires. He was a student up here. He's like, you can check all these guys out. They put them online, and they're there for you to see.
If you have the time at some point, would you mind maybe emailing me with some of those names? Because I've never heard of any of them, and I need new stuff like I need oxygen.
No, yeah, well,
it expands my mind whenever I hear somebody new. You know.
Yeah, you'll be long saturated.
Yeah. You know, I was just online the other day. I tend to get on YouTube sometimes and then stay there for like 3 hours, usually late at night, after I don't feel I can do anything else productive. I ran across a Sonny Emery solo. Well, that he's got a pair of hands on him.
He plays great. Yeah. He's been around a long time.
Yeah, and I really don't know much about him.
Like, Earth, Wind, and Fire? Earth, Wind, and Fire?
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
I didn't know that.
Like when Dennis was with Funkadelics, Parliament Funkadelics.
Yeah.
I think he was doing, maybe I'm wrong, but I think he was doing Earth, Wind, and Fire there for a while.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I've heard his name. I've heard great things. I actually don't think I've ever heard him play that I know of. I may have heard him and not knowing it's him. And Terry says she loves Sonny Emery. Yeah, I mean, he was just the solo was beautiful. It was the flow, the control, the dynamics. I was really really happy. That was nice.
Another guy I just thought of is Billy Kilson. He's been around a while. He teaches at Berkeley also. Mm-hmm. And he went there, and then he's been out with Chris Bodie for many, many years. But he's on the David Sanborn sessions that are on YouTube. And he did one with David Sanborn and Joey DeFrancesco on organ and him. It's only like 15 minutes long. And I showed it, I captured some of it, used it in class because he's playing the quarter note ride like Joe Dukes, Donald Bailey, and those guys did in the 60s with Joey DeFrancesco. So it was a matter of me bringing the past to at least the present. And this is from November 20th we're talking about. But it's just burning. You can see him and hear him. It's just amazing. And of course, you can look, there's all kinds of solos with him, with Marcus Miller. And I mean, you know, he's just played with everybody.
I need to check him out. I think I've probably seen him on videos quite a lot and heard him, and I've certainly heard of him, but I can't picture what he looks like right now. And I've been watching some of those Sanborn sessions.
Well, that's him on there. One of them is with no, I can't remember if maybe Ira Carlin is on one.
Oh, geez, that guy's.
But the other guy I just thought of that come to mind that plays great, he's on the John Beasley Monkestra things, is Obed Calvert.
Okay.
And he's also on many of the San Francisco jazz ensemble things. But yeah, for the younger guys that I saw, Luke Holland is amazing.
Okay. Don't know him.
Yeah, he's on the cover of one of the Drumhead magazine things from recent issues. But I mean, some of my students I had last summer they point me to stuff. Monday, I was talking about something with someone and they said, oh, you got to check out Nate Smith on Pocket Change. Oh, that's one of his things. So it's like, yeah. So I check it out. I listen to what they say because I want to know what the connection is between what I know and what they know.
Yeah. Now I'm trying to think of, there's a thing I just bought on Bandcamp from somebody who's become a friend of mine, Sean Wayland.
Yeah, he's a great player from Australia.
Yes, and I love Sean's new recording is called Joysy Trio.
Yeah, you got to listen
Joysy.
to some of his old stuff too.
Yeah, I have a lot of his old stuff. Nate Wood plays on this.
Yeah, but there's other guys on some of the before Nate. I can't remember the names of them, but they're
Oh, on the old
really,
stuff.
yeah, interesting compositions, and of course the playing is great.
Yeah, and I saw him first. I'll just go back here so I can monitor if anyone has questions. By the way, what's your schedule? I don't want to keep you too long, Skip.
Oh, I have something at 4:30.
Okay. Okay. I can hang for a little while
No,
more.
I know you have clients, so
Well, I do at 2 and at 3:30, but at 12:20, I have a presentation I'm doing for a neural convention in England. So it's a half-hour thing. And actually, I pre-recorded it. It's the first time we've ever done it this way, and I really like the format. They pre-recorded, and I sent the video over yesterday. And so it's the neuromotor training thing. And while they're running my presentation, I'll be on and interacting, answering questions. So that's happening in like 25 minutes. But all I need to do is refill my coffee before then. Otherwise, I can hang for a few. So yeah, Nate Wood, I was really impressed with what I heard. I love Sean's compositions. I love his playing. I love the sounds he uses too. That's another thing I find really interesting is how much a sound can change the feel of something.
Well, not only that, think about when you were trying to learn how to play the drums. And as long as you played on the pad, it was easy to do. As soon as you split up into the two different sound sources, it was like,
yeah, you're not kidding.
All right, so that's just two sound sources. Thinking about adding all the notes in the piano, or add the bass in and all the sounds that the drum set makes. It's like, what was that about?
Yeah.
It changes everything because all the melodies are different because they're not in the middle of the staff anymore.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's interesting. So yeah, if you get time, I would love it anytime. No hurry at all. Let's maybe send me some names and I'll start looking them up, downloading and buying stuff.
Yeah.
By the way, I'm a big advocate for buying music, folks. I'm going to go on this for a 30-second rant. Okay. Not really a rant, just I'm sure Skip, and I know people, for sure I know people who a lot of us have heard of them and maybe admired them for years and learned from them, and they're hurting because for some of them, their main source of income was touring and doing gigs, and it's for some of them, it's worked out okay. They went into teaching, but I guess there's, as George Whitty told me, Spotify's good because it allows you the $10 a month. You can stream whatever you want. If you find something, you might discover somebody on there you like. But what I like is to use it, find stuff, and then buy it. And not everybody can. And I understand that, especially with, the amount of unemployment or diminished income. You pay your bills first. But if you can buy music and books, buy them, because these people, better than I do, people put their whole lives into these things, and then they're lucky if they break even. A lot of times it's more of an investment. And so buy the music, folks. There's my sales pitch.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's why on my Facebook page, there's very little. Once in a while, I put a picture up that I took or something that I did, but for the most part, I'm putting up stuff that people send me, or I'm, sharing it because this stuff is burning. What other people are doing is, I'm supportive of it and I enjoy doing what they're doing. So it's like, yeah, why not?
Absolutely. And Terry just sent something. Terry, oh, good. Karl, your musical friends in need should connect with Music Cares Foundation. I just heard of them recently and I was distracted. So I didn't even come back and visit, like looking them up or anything. They will help professionals in the music industry. You probably already know, but I must share. I'm glad you shared. Thanks, Terry, because now I heard of them, but I don't know anything. So thank you for that. Music Cares Foundation. Music Cares is one word, MUSICARES Foundation. Thank you. Yep, got to have a drum hang out there, man. You, Skip, Terry, Sergio, Johnny D, and whoever else.
Well, Dave Maddox lives about 15 miles away from here too.
Perfect. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And it was
Well,
just his birthday.
We'll plan ahead. When's your birthday?
August 24th.
Okay. Teresa DeMuzio, and we'll get her too. Hey,
She
Teresa,
knows
thanks.
everybody.
Teresa, you know everybody, right? Teresa, I'm sorry I didn't call you that day that I had the eye surgery. I just didn't expect it to be the way it was, but everything's fine now. So we got to jump on the phone again soon, Teresa. And Terry, thank you. You just posted Grammy.com/music cares. All right. Good one to check. I'm going to check that out later today for sure. Teresa, we were just talking about, I was telling Skip, I got to get out of here, man. I mean, I love it where I live. My house is, I'm lucky where I live is great, but I want to travel somewhere. Boston bound. Got to go to Boston this summer. So we will have a drum hang. Skip, Terry, Sergio, Johnny D, Therese. And if I forgot anybody, I'm sorry. So Terry's birthday is August 28th. Sergio's 26th. Sergio's the 30th.
30th, yeah.
Oh, she wants to know, is Skippo going to play today?
No. What am I going to play? How about I just sing a song instead?
Sure.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
it's
we should get
funny
you
that
playing those drums one of these days.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it sounds okay. I don't have it on, but I use the EAD that Sergio got for me, and
great.
Yeah. That's what this is up here. Because normally it's supposed to be on the bass drum, but if you put up here and you run it through the vocal mic, you can hear the drums and talk at the same time.
Oh, nice.
So it's the poor man's way of getting stuff across. Yeah, the Yamaha.
So for you, is that relatively new for you? Did you just get that set up recently?
No, I had it on different various places. I watched a John Riley. Oh, there's a lot of good things at the Collective. Jeff Watts did some things on there. I think Dennis did something on there. John Riley.
Yeah.
And also the Village Vanguard. There was a Bill Stewart solo drum concert that is just 1 hour of him not smiling, but playing his butt off. But this is from last spring.
Okay.
And I have the camera over here, and I have two other cameras that I'm in the process of trying to figure out how to use, which is a Zoom KD2N or something, and a couple of iPads. But for me, it's mostly about explaining stuff and some breakdown of it. I don't know. I can turn this on and see if you can hear it. Well, use it. You'll be my guinea pig today. How's that?
Absolutely. That sounds good. Gary Kennedy says, broken eighths.
Yeah, very broken. Thank you.
I like that.
So now it's working through this. So it does sound different.
It sounds different. I don't hear you quite as well, but I can still hear you talking.
Okay, that's up all the way. But now this is not normally a cymbal that will sound too good for this, but
nice.
So I didn't hit any toms, but all that stuff, because everything I have is really open.
Yeah, that's nice. So it sounds good on this end. I can hear everything very well.
Good enough that people can understand what I said.
Yeah.
If I back it up, yeah. But I was kidding about singing a song, but I think I told you about it it was a couple of years ago. I was in Roccaforzata, which is in the south of Italy, in Puglia. And it's like the desert there. I mean, and we drive through away from the city. It's in this little harbor, and we come upon, I see it in the distance like a pile of rocks. Where the hell are we going? But there's this big drum thing that's there. It's going to be me and Franco Rossi and Aaron Spears. And I'm going, we're in the desert. What is this? And we get there, and it's a little outcropping of rocks, but there's a town inside these rocks. And we go up, and it looks like a warehouse, and you open the door, and inside is this huge club. And it's all set up like you're in Denver. It's all the Wild West inside. But it's cavernous. And out back, there's a place that's inside a wall, and that's where everybody's going to play outside. So we do a thing inside, and then there's this concert outside with bands. They brought other players in to play with him and Franco and myself. So Franco goes first. This is after we do our clinics. We each did one. You go eat, and then you come back, and it's dark out and everything. Stars. It's like, beautiful. I'm in the desert, and so
that sounds really cool. Skip, I have a favor to ask. Can you switch back to whatever input you used when you were talking before?
Sure.
I think we'll be able to hear you better. I could hear you. It's just kind of
no, good.
Oh, that's perfect. Oh, that's beautiful.
Because it jumps back to this is the one that's in the computer.
And then you can sing for us now, right?
Well, not in play, no. But
by the way,
this is what the story. This is what the story.
Anyone watching, if you don't have this book, you're going to want to get it. Okay, World Fusion Drumming, The Beat, the Body, the Brain by Skip. I love this.
Oh, thank you.
I love it. No, it's really fun. Teresa's on. She sent me a copy of this.
Right, her dad's book.
Tales from the Cymbal Bag, which I think I've read twice now. Oh my gosh, I love this. So the two things I do lately since I got this book is I go in there, pick a page. Usually I read 1 or 2 pages at a time, and then I'll go on YouTube and start looking for people they're talking about in the stories, and it's just so cool. I love the history.
Well, that's putting faces to the names.
Yeah. A lot of them, most of the people I've heard of or I've listened to a lot, but still I'll go and look for maybe certain musical situations or this and that. And I love that book. So we haven't done this in a little while, this talk, because I've been getting back to work here now that I can physically, and I can actually drive now. I couldn't drive for a while because of just a lot of lightheadedness and being dizzy. So, but now I'm doing less interviews because I just got to get back with my people and do the rehab that I do. But I think now that I'm getting into more of a regular schedule like I used to be last fall, I think I can probably do this most Wednesdays at 11 if you're around, because I missed seeing you and I want to keep doing it.
Yeah, I'd be glad to.
It's fun.
Yeah. Are you able to meet with your clients face to face, or you have to do it online?
I can do face to face.
Oh, great.
And everyone except for one has had the second dose of whatever vaccine they got. One got the single dose Johnson & Johnson. So there's just one who I see who, we mask up and be careful, but she gets her first dose in a couple weeks. Otherwise, everyone's vaccinated, and I'm getting my second dose in a couple weeks. And good to have some type of normalcy. Seeing people face to face is something that I enjoy.
Yeah, I've enjoyed going in on Thursdays and meeting with my students because my room is so big. I'm like 20 feet away from them, besides the fact that everybody's masked up and all that. And the air system is good, but yeah, and they like it. I mean, I'm surprised that there's such a difference for people between doing the online. Like last spring, there was a couple people I had that preferred the online because they had their drums and they had their own scene and their own food at home, whereas most people really would rather risk anything and do it live.
Yeah. Well, I just like to be around people, in person. Well, usually, especially if it's people I like. And
I
if I'm
don't I
gonna
don't
be,
think that there's anybody you don't like, Carl. How's that?
well, that's not true, but I don't dislike very many people.
Yeah.
That's for sure. There are a lot of great people in the world, and everyone is entitled to have a bad day now and then, once in a while. Well, you don't know circumstances of somebody's life, right? You don't know what they're going through, or maybe what their history is, what they've been through. So, I mean, really, really try not to judge. I try to elicit a level of comfort and a level of conversation, even if it's just something real simple. But the past year has been interesting. My favorite Parkinson's association that I've ever been to, and I've been to so many around the world. It's Parkinson Monterrey in Monterrey, Mexico,
Hmm.
and that is a lifeline for a lot of people. So this is just an example of over the past year what many people have experienced. Every Tuesday and Thursday for I don't know how long, well over 10 years. For the most part, every Tuesday, Thursday from around 11 a.m., maybe a little earlier for some folks, to about 4 p.m., people at Parkinson Monterey would go to the facility. They would meet, they would sit, they would talk, they would socialize, they would have fitness people come in. Cynthia Gonzalez is a great fitness person, come in, help them with movement, help them with exercise, help them with managing disease symptoms and tremors and whatever else. They would have educators come in. They brought me in several times. I also just went on my own dime many times because I just wanted to go and be with them. But they haven't met in person for 1 year as of last week.
Wow.
And I started an online community to try to bring them together, which hasn't worked as well because a lot of people don't have the ability to jump on and have a good connection and really hang out with us. But it's had a big impact, man. And I'm telling you, there's some of us out there. I like my alone time, but not all the time. I like to be around people. And then I like to be alone. I need the balance. I need to be in the big cities once in a while. And then I need to get out here in the woods where I live because I need both ends of everything. A lot of people have experienced depression the past year with lack of socialization or maybe a number of things, lack of income, whatever. So Zoom's been a nice way to communicate and meet. Well, we met on Zoom here. It's great. I love it. Thank you, Skip, because without Skip, I wouldn't be talking with you now. No, wait, I mean, without Sergio.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh my gosh, what am I doing? But without
Yeah.
Skip, I wouldn't be talking to Skip either.
Right.
Carl, what's your problem?
There is a connection,
That's
yes.
100, baby. I got to take my pill.
That when you look, if you go on Facebook, there's the picture that's been up there forever. That's my Facebook picture. That's Sergio and I in that one.
Oh.
And that's us playing at the Cape Breton International Drum Festival.
Oh, wow. I'm going to check that out right now.
And he's lefty and I'm righty, so we could sit close enough together. Oh. He ends up playing part of my set.
Yeah. I've seen this.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Wow. That's fantastic. Yeah, that's pretty cool. So you get a hi-hat view of each other.
Yeah, well,
up next to each other.
He can play my hi-hat and my crash cymbal and stuff because his hi-hat's right next to it.
Yeah, that's great. All right. Well, exactly. Yeah. Well, Skip, I'd love to hang out longer. I should probably get going in a minute because in about 8 minutes, this convention starts for me where I'm going to be. Maria de Lourdes is on. Hey, Maria, we were just talking about Parkinson Monterey and how much I miss being with you all. I will be there this year. Boston and Monterey and Cancun. Well, all over Mexico, I have a lot of work to do. Yeah, so I'm really looking forward to getting back to Mexico. We got to get together and do
Yeah.
stuff. But yeah, this neuro thing starts up uh, in a few minutes. So I'm going to go grab my other cup of coffee and come back up and start answering questions when they run my thing. And Therese says, thank you, Karl and Skip.
Yeah. Yeah.
In the words of Adam Nussbaum, stay positive and test negative.
Yeah. Take care, everybody. Great to know you're out there.
Thanks a lot, man. I'll be in touch later today or tomorrow, and hopefully see you next week, same time, same bat channel.
Sounds like a plan.
All right. Thanks, Skip. Thanks
Yeah.
everyone for watching. Happy St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah.
Yay.
Ciao. Ci vediamo, eh?
You got it, man. See you later. Bye-bye.